Hey everyone, I'm Haley. This is Bitter Kitten Crafts. This is a channel where we talk about knitting and crocheting and yarn and other fun crafty stuff, and my cat Boo is here with us too. We live just outside DC, and today I wanted to share with you my list of 10 accessories I want to knit in 2025. I just posted a video a couple weeks ago about garments I wanted to knit in 2025, and it was pretty ambitious, and so I'm hoping to sprinkle in some of these really significantly smaller accessories and a couple bigger ones just to round out my knitting for the year. I don't have hope or intention to knit all 20 of the patterns I've shown between the two videos, but hi Boo, but it is fun just to dream, plan projects, and sort of look through my stash and see what I have that would work for different things, and who knows, maybe I'll get to more than I think I will. But let's go ahead and start with my list. I have a list here, and I have a bunch of yarn in front of me. And the first project I wanted to talk about is convertible mittens. So if you've been watching my videos, you know that I knit a pair of mittens in January, and they were just the world's simplest mittens by Tin Can Knits, which are literally the world's simplest mittens. It was my first time ever knitting a thumb gusset thumb, and it was, I would say it was successful, but it was also a realization that I had that I couldn't actually use my phone when I was wearing them because I knit them out of Aran weight yarn, and they're really thick, and they're really, really warm, and they're perfect for what I needed, but I'd like to have something that's more flexible because in DC, honestly, it actually doesn't usually get that cold. This year it's been freezing. We're expecting more crazy amount of snow next week in late February, so that's something. But other than that, usually it doesn't get below 40s here. So I'm gonna knit Clara's Playtime Mittens by Amy Sher out of, this is a ball of yarn from my stash that I've already knit a shawl out of and frogged. And this is the Wandering Flock Baby Paca base, which is a beautiful base. It's baby alpaca and merino wool, but it's high micron merino wool, and I think there's a little nylon in it too, but it's really soft yarn and it's a fingering weight, and so my intention is to hold it double for this project. And oh yes Boo, sorry, and I should use up the whole ball of this yarn. I'm really intending to knit my stash down this year, which is part of the reason I'm making these videos, to sort of motivate myself to churn through my stash and dig through all the random bags of yarn I have under my bed to see what I could use to make different stuff. Boo, come here. She's looking out the window because there's a lot of geese on the scene out here. We just moved from downtown DC out to the suburbs a little bit, and I don't know if you can hear her chirping at the geese. There's a lot of geese here because we live now on a little creek, and so hopefully that's not, yeah, sorry. She's a sweetie. So yeah, so the Clara's Playtime Mittens by Amy Sher, they are the kind that have the little hat for your fingers that flips down, and then it's a fingerless glove construction with a thumb gusset. So I'm really excited to knit them. I have some beautiful buttons in my collection, and so it'll be fun to have also a use for some of my smaller buttons, because a lot of times, you know, with cardigans and things, I don't end up, I can hear my other cat eating something she's not supposed to. She's a microplastic girly. Okay. So yeah, so now we live in the suburbs, and it is actually a little bit colder in the suburbs than it was downtown, just because of all the close together buildings. There's a lot more opportunities to wear mittens, so I think this will be a fun project, but I probably won't cast it on until next winter because it's already the end of February. This yarn, so like I said, I've already knit with it once, and I knit a shawl, and I just decided that the yardage wasn't enough to make a shawl that was generous enough for my style, because I really like, if I'm gonna wear a shawl, I really like a huge, generous, wraparound, cozy type of shawl. Excuse me, Boo. So I figured it'd be better for something like a little accessory like mittens, and I think this project is really cute. I love the finger hat part of it. The next couple projects on my list are hats. If you have watched this channel for a while, you know that my favorite hat pattern basically ever is Jason's Cashmere Hat by Melissa Thompson, and it's a pretty basic 6-stitch cable pattern. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, and I, of course, have plans to make another one. So my husband has requested a neon green hat, and I don't have yarn for it yet, but that's the pattern I'm planning to use just because it's, you know, an old favorite of mine. I can knit it basically without looking, except for the cable rows, and it's really reliable pattern. So I'm planning to knit that again, and if anybody has any recommendations for neon green yarn, I'm here for it. I've been on a really big sort of small project kick lately where finishing things just feels so good. So I've been knitting a bunch of little guys and little monsters, and I hope to continue the trend with hats. I've knit mittens and just a bunch of small stuff. So a bunch of things on this list are significantly smaller, and then there's a couple big ones too. But another hat on my list is the Retro Camp Beanie by Amy Langdon. And I have this big jar of fingering weight scraps, and it's a pickle jar. One of my friends, he eats a lot of pickles, so he gives me these huge jars, and this one has all my fingering weight scraps in it. So a couple things that I'm planning to knit are going to be coming from this jar. One of them is going to be the Retro Camp Beanie, like I mentioned, and it's a striped waffle beanie with really cute little retro kind of 70s stripes. So I'm hoping to pick some colors. I'm thinking I'm going to use also some leftovers from the sweater I'm currently knitting, like dark blues and yellows, a fun mix of just sort of like rugby stripe colors, maybe like red, blue, yellow, green type of situation. I'm hoping to knit two hats that are sort of inverses of each other. My in-laws have been really kind to us this winter, and so I'm hoping to knit them some hats and mail them off to Massachusetts, and I'm hoping to knit those sooner rather than later because they live up where it's actually really cold for a lot longer, so they could use them if I knit them now. We'll see how quickly I get around to that, but there's cat hair, oh my gosh, everywhere. Yeah, so that is my plan for that. So I'm gonna throw a bonus hat into the list here. This is a yarn that I have had in my stash forever, and it is Lorna's Laces, which I don't even know if they still exist. This is shepherd worsted. It's 100% merino worsted weight yarn. I had a skein of this in a different colorway. It was like dark pink and orange and black. And it turns out that this is, I guess you would call it flashing yarn, where it pools incredibly aggressively, which on the project I was using the other colorway for, I hated. But I think for this one, it's going to be neat. So I'm going to be knitting the World's Simplest Hat by Purl Soho, whatever it's called, Simple Ribbed Hat. And I think that the color flashing and pooling will actually look really, really neat with this. I don't know how it will turn out, but there's a bunch more colors in this version than there was in the first colorway I had. So I think it will sort of be more cohesive, and I'm really hoping it pools kind of aggressively. I think it might look awesome. I don't know when I'll get around to knitting this, but I did this has been in my stash, like honestly, for probably 7 years, maybe 6-7 years. So I just really want to get it out of my stash. The colors are pretty, you know, they're cute together, the lime green and pink and aqua and orange. Like, it's a really cute little situation. I don't know what else I would possibly knit with it besides something where the color pooling is really intentional, because it's really aggressive pooling, you know, the big lightning bolts of pooling. So unless I go into it knowing that that's what I'm going to expect, I don't see what else I would knit with this. And I really want to, like I said, sort of use up things in my stash this year. That's my main goal, especially the really ancient stuff like this, where it just needs a new life. Oh my God, cat hair. So moving away from hats, there's 2 shawls on my accessory list this year, and one of them I picked the yarn and one of them I picked the project. So I'll start with the yarn, the one I have yarn for already picked out. This yarn is yarn I got from my bachelorette party, which if you watched one of my earlier videos, I did show this yarn. This is from Ever After Alpaca Farm in sort of the sticks of Virginia, like 2 hours from my house. And my friends know me really well. They know that my bachelorette party would not be complete without alpacas. So we went and petted alpacas for the afternoon, and it was so lovely. If you ever get a chance to go there, if you live nearby, you should definitely go. When the weather turns warm again, I'm planning to go back with my husband. And while I was there, my friends got me some yarn from the alpacas that we met, which was so adorable. So these are not dyed yarns. They had a variety of colors of alpaca, gray and like fawn colored and obviously white and really dark brown. And I picked the most highly contrasted colors because I thought it might end up being, just a stunning shawl or garment. and I'm really hoping I'm right. I love this dark brown. It almost reads black, you know, especially in not very good lighting. It really does read black, but the drape of this yarn is gorgeous. So this is minimally processed yarn. You can kind of feel there's still some machine spinning oil on it. And I'm hoping and thinking that when I block this yarn, it's gonna bloom like crazy. So I'm planning to knit the Zarya shawl by Ambah O'Brien with this. The pattern comes with 2 different patterns, like for fingering weight and for DK. So to be honest, I have quite literally no idea how much yardage this is. They're supposed to be 100-gram skeins, but it looks like it's maybe like a DK sport. Again, I don't know how much it will bloom. So I'm planning to use the DK weight version, but keep going and add some increases because it only requires 1 of each color and I do have 2. So I'm hoping that it will become a huge, beautiful drapey shawl that will be voluminous much more than, like I mentioned earlier, the one I knit out of this yarn, which is only 1 skein of fingering weight yarn. I really wanted to wrap, and I'll put a photo of the pattern. There's a lot of little slip stitches, so the yarns will sort of commingle and mosaic knitting so that it'll be not color work. I don't think I have enough yardage to do something out of color work that I would wear that would be, like I said, voluminous. So I'm thinking that this is the best way to go with mosaic and slip stitches, and I'll just sort of smush the fingering weight and DK weight versions together, and hopefully it'll be beautiful. This one I'm hoping to cast on really soon. In other videos I've mentioned I'm supposed to knit my husband his first sweater that I'm gonna knit him, and I am trying not to cast on a sweater for myself at the same time because I know that it'll be tough to work on both. But I'm thinking that if I cast on a shawl, it'll be sort of a happy compromise. Because he wants a stockinette sweater, I chose the flax. So the only difference is the garter ridges on the shoulders. And this is a more intricate pattern for sure. So I'll be able to sort of bounce back and forth when my brain needs more occupation than just stockinette in the round and solid blue for miles. The other shawl that I've picked out, I don't have yarn picked out for, but I certainly have something in my scrap stash that I can use. This is just my fingering weight scraps, so I have a lot more heavier weighted scraps, and it's a really recently released pattern by McKenzie Mullen, who's M to the third here on YouTube. If you're watching my channel, you've probably seen her videos too. I love her videos, and this shawl that she just is currently releasing, it's for the Rose City Yarn Crawl, and it's a crochet granny square quilt motif. It's called the Barn Quilt Shawl, and it's glorious. I saw it on her Instagram and I knew I needed to cast it on. Well, I guess for crocheting you don't say cast it on, but I really want to make it. I really want to have it in my wardrobe. Crochet is my first love, and granny squares especially are my obsession, and I make so many of them. I'm currently working on a huge granny square blanket, so this shawl seems like the perfect fit for my wardrobe. I have no idea what colors I want to use. I do have some worsted weight undyed, like regular merino in my stash, so I'll probably, I don't know if you guys can hear the train. I love when the train passes, it's really cozy. I'll probably use that undyed merino because she used undyed merino in her sample, and then sort of just go scrappy with it and use some from my jar and some from my other big old pouch of worsted weight scraps and just kind of see what happens with color. I really like playing with color, and I really like granny squares as an opportunity to do that. So that one is sort of more of a dream project. I don't know when I'll get around to it. I'm working on a 144 square granny blanket, and I have like 35 squares to go. So I probably won't start another crochet granny square project while I still have that one on my hook. But I only have 30-ish 5 more, and I've been working on it since September, so I might be able to start this sooner than I think. One other project I'm really interested in knitting, I've been seeing people knit pouches on Instagram and on Ravelry, and I think they're so cute. I love them, and I think it'd be a great way to use up some of these scraps in really fun colors and just kind of do a stripey scrap situation for a project bag. Some of the ones I've seen are stunning. They're cabled. I found this really pretty Korean pattern, but I obviously don't speak Korean. It's cabled, so that was kind of off the table. But then I found this pattern, and the reason I ended up choosing this pattern is because it has a boxed bottom with pleats, which I thought was fascinating, and I really think it will add some good structure to the bag because we all know like knitted fabric doesn't have a lot of structural integrity. I would say significantly less so than crochet. I'm not sure yet if I'll sew a lining in. I do have some fabric I could use, some Cape Facet fabric, but if I do sew a lining, I'll probably also sew a piece of maybe plastic or probably not cardboard, probably something stiffer in the bottom so that it's a real box bottom bag. The pattern is 0603 Project Bag by Dhiany Nanda, and I'll put that below. I don't know if I said your name right, I'm so sorry. I really do like the look of your pattern though, and I appreciate that it's free. A bunch of the patterns on my list today, aside from the larger shawls, many of them are free. I really, you know, especially when it comes to non-garment knitting, I love a free pattern, to be honest. It's just much more in my budget. So the next couple patterns I'm going to talk about are all free. So the box bottom project bag, it's knit in DK weight, so I could definitely use up a bunch of these scraps held double. I was also considering using this for the box bottom project bag, but because it's superwash merino, it's like literally already pilling like in the skein. I don't think it would be the right choice for a bag that would get a lot of like tossed in my backpack, kind of a lot of wear. So I'm definitely going to go with more durable scraps than that yarn. So on the theme of bags, this is a teeny little project that would easily take me just one afternoon. I think it's so cute, and it's the Airpod cozy, and the designer is Olga Olach, and it's just literally what it sounds like, a teeny little sack for your AirPods. And I used to have a case for my AirPods, but then I lost my AirPods and I got a new pair of headphones, but I haven't gotten a new case for them. And I've been working my way through this skein of Yarn Hero mill ends. So Yarn Hero is a company really local to me where they dye gradient barber pulling yarn. I don't know if there's a better word for it, but basically kind of like spin cycle adjacent, like really stunning gradient yarn. And I have this one ball of mill end yarn from a festival I went to, and I've been just slowly chipping away at it, and I think that it'd be a great choice for my AirPod cozy. It's a fingering weight yarn, and you know, you need very little, so it'd be interesting to see how much of a gradient I would get through. I think you can see it goes from kind of aquas to purple to yellow back to purple again, and I think it'd be neat to kind of see how it would knit up in such a tiny little circumference. But the AirPod cozy is easily the most useful thing on this list besides maybe the mittens, and easily the most quickly produced project. So probably this one will be when I get bored one day of knitting sweaters, or just I'm tired of my sleeves or whatever, I'll definitely just knit this up like in one afternoon. I have 3 more patterns I want to talk about, and one of them is a sloth. So if y'all are familiar with Claire Garland, she designs knitted animals, and I'm sure many of you have seen that she designed that animal frog. It was like really, really popular on Ravelry and Instagram a while ago, maybe like a year or 2 ago. And he has like little wire arms, and he's so cute and tiny. And I'm new to small circumference knitting. I really hated it for a long time, and I don't do double pointed needles or anything like that. So I've just gotten comfortable with magic loop. So I'm not sure that frog is the right choice for me, but I was really enjoying browsing all the knitted animals, partially because I just knit the little kindness monster by Yarnigans. So I'll put a picture of the one I knitted here. I've knitted now a couple of them, and I just really want to knit more little guys. So I picked the pattern Sloth by Claire Garland, and it's a sloth, and he has little arms that hold stuff, and I really want to put him on my lamp. I have a lamp on my desk here, and I think it'd be cute to have my little sloth just hanging on my lamp. And I'm hoping to knit him in mohair scraps, so he's all fuzzy like the pattern photo, and I don't think it will take that long to knit him. So he's knitted flat, which is to me a huge perk because, like I mentioned, I don't love small circumference knitting, and I think that this way it's a great compromise because seaming, no problem, but small circumference stitching, absolutely not. So it's a good compromise, and that way I'll just have a little sloth guy. And just like the little kindness monster, if it goes well, I'll probably knit a bajillion sloths. My first one I want to make, I have leftover neon pink mohair, so I'm thinking I'm going to knit a little neon pink sloth, and it'll be really sweet and cute. But that's something that will probably also be like coming in the pipeline soon, because I've been on a real little kindness monster kick, but I'm running out of people to give them to. So the sloth is up next, and I have a lamp, my husband has a lamp, so there's plenty of places for little sloths to go in my apartment, and knitting little guys fills me with so much joy. So definitely expect more little guys in the future of this channel. I have one more sort of accessory pattern for people to wear, and it is the Broceliande by Audrey Borrego. I don't know if I said that right. But her Instagram handle's Yarn Flakes, and if y'all have been sort of paying attention on Ravelry Hot right now, a lot of her patterns just became free because she's retiring from knitwear design. So I did go through and pick several of them that I really enjoyed. And I also picked this headband, and it's just a classic, you know, twisted knitted headband. I've never made myself one, but I've made a couple for gifts. That's like a common request I get for gifts. And I do wear my hair in a bun a lot in the winter, and it looks so goofy to wear a beanie or a toque with my hair in a bun because I look like a munchkin or something. So I really think that a headband will be a very, very practical knit for me. I'm praying that I have enough yarn left from this blue ball to make an adjacent headband, but I honestly have no idea because I'm planning to hold this double for the mittens. So I truly have no idea how much yarn this will take up. But if not, then I have a couple other sort of larger scraps I could use that I think are beautiful, like this one. I don't think it takes like 90 yards or something of DK weight. So I'm pretty confident I can find a scrap to knit this pattern out of that will be beautiful. And it's something that, again, a lot of these projects, you know, they're like for an afternoon or 2 or 3 afternoons and not that serious. And it's good to sprinkle them in between sweaters just for a quick win, just to keep the motivation going, you know. And the last pattern on my list is Christmas stockings. So I haven't picked out a specific Christmas stocking pattern I'd like to knit yet. I've seen some people knit beautiful ones. I know Kristen on We Share Needles, she knitted Fair Isle pretty intricate stockings, and they're gorgeous, and I'm interested in knitting something like that, but I don't know how much I want to commit to color work like that. I don't have yarn in my stash for it either, to be honest, but now that we all know Joann's is going out of business, I'm probably just going to go ahead and pick up some like red, green, and white acrylic and knit my stockings with those for like longevity purposes. I want to end up knitting 4. So I want to knit myself one, my husband one, and then I want to knit 2 mini ones for my cats. I have 2 cats, Boo and Cheeto Puff, and so I think it'd be really cute to have 4 little stockings. This will be our first Christmas in this apartment as opposed to downtown. And so I'm really hoping that it'll be incredibly festive. Sometimes downtown it's like not super festive because there's just so much like hustle and bustle that Christmas just like doesn't matter. But I'm really hoping that won't be the case this year because now we have this cute little creek behind us and like an actual place for our Christmas tree, and it'll be just a lot more Christmassy. So I'm hoping to kind of lean into that. And I have a couple free patterns that I picked out that I really like the look of. And so I'll put some photos here. One of them is the Snow Flurry Stocking by Claire Slade, or the Tenenbaum stocking, and they're both free patterns that I found on Ravelry, and they're both color work, but not like too crazy or intricate. So hopefully those will be something I look at. I'm also heavily considering like really leaning in and doing one of the Fair Isle crazy intricate stockings, but I just don't know realistically if I commit to doing 4 of those, like will I actually finish them by Christmas? Like who is to say? Because I'd have to start like in May. So I don't know about that, but I do know that the thought of knitted Christmas stockings is like a really romantic little notion that I hope I'm able to complete this year. And that's everything on my accessories list for the year. I really hope I get to all of them. I know I'm going to get to like the sloth and a couple of other ones I know I'm going to get to absolutely, but some of the other ones I might have to put off till next year. That's totally fine. You know, all of this is just in fun and dreaming, and patterns are just so gorgeous, all of them, and fun to look at on Ravelry. So thanks so much for watching my video. I hope you have a great afternoon.